Ladies and gentlemen, these are just my thoughts about RFK Jr. after 2024. I have a great deal of respect for this man. I'm obviously voting for Trump in 2024 for a number of reasons. We had record low poverty with Trump. We had record highs in household median income. We had real wages up under Trump. The opposite is true with Biden. Real wages are down. Inflation is 6 to 8%. We are 90 seconds to midnight, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, directly because of Biden's foreign policy. We could go on forever. Trump objectively was a better president. The media did the same thing to Trump as it does to RFK Jr. I believe, in my view, I know he's a Kennedy and it sounds outlandish. If he gets close to Biden or Hillary Clinton, I think Hillary will be the 24 nominee somehow, some way. If she wins Arizona and Georgia, she'll become president. So if the Arizona and Georgia Republican parties want another Democrat in the Oval Office, they'll get that. But they're going to cheat RFK Jr. because he's gonna gain popularity. The New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, Atlantic, Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Kimmel, they will all converge to disparage and demean RFK Jr. This is what they do. They did the same thing to Bernie Sanders. They cheated Bernie Sanders. The DNC emails showed that they don't even have a functioning primary. The problem is that RFK Jr. is very popular. His views on certain topics are blasphemy and heresy to Democrats. You might say, well, he's a Kennedy. He's RFK's son, JFK's nephew. He would never join the Republican Party. Well, this is a populist Republican Party, and there's a home for him there. Or here, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I like Trump because he was a great president, objectively better in terms of the economy and foreign policy. There's really no debate. We had record low poverty with Trump in 2019. And his last year in office, things took place that RFK Jr. opposed. RFK Jr. is on the, more rational and logical viewpoint on things that even Trump, during Trump's last year in office. But RFK Jr. is not afraid to speak his mind, the truth, a viewpoint that's backed by fact and logic and reason and data and numbers and he's able to articulate and communicate his vantage point amid a furious media, public relations monstrosity coming after him. Trump is the same way. But, former President Trump has a certain way of battling media. RFK Jr. has another way. I think that what's going to take place is because of his foreign policy, which is the same type of foreign policy as Donald Trump, which is a fantastic foreign policy, removing Americans from never-ending military conflict. Trump did that in numerous regions of the world, which is a moral imperative to vote. It's a moral imperative to vote for Trump if you want a safer planet and less military quagmires, wars, conflicts. We didn't have the problems we face now with Trump. And there's a reason for that. Because he had an actual vision of the world that promoted peace. That's why he was the first president to step foot in North Korea. The lies, the endless lies told about Trump are the endless lies told about RFK Jr. They have the same foreign policy. They have the same ability to, destroy sacred cows. And there's really no home for RFK Jr. as a Democrat. I mean, will he become a Republican, a Trump Republican? Who knows? They are going to try their best, the public relations monstrosity, to disparage, demean, insult, denigrate, and just, what's the word I'm looking for? Besmirch And it's going to be terrible. The image of RFK, they're going to do everything they did to Bernie Sanders times 2 or 3 or 4, because he's going to gain traction. I know this because I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, to read my writing that hundreds of thousands of people read in 2015 and 2016. I mean, we're talking just articles, hundreds of thousands of people, many articles. Some articles were shared over 1 million times. But go to hagoodman.com. You could see the Washington Post and Huffington Post articles, and you could see my writing. In The Hill, the Huffington Post, along the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, other publications. Hit subscribe. My Patreon is below. To my super thanks, that's below as well. I think that he'll join. I think that he could be Trump's vice president. Okay, he could possibly be Trump's vice president. I think it could be Tucker Carlson. It could be JFK Jr. Or RFK Jr., sorry. RFK Jr. And the one good thing about RFK and JFK, especially JFK, is that they didn't worship intel agencies. After the Bay of Pigs, after the Bay of Pigs, JFK learned not to trust either top generals or intel agencies. That's why he didn't invade Cuba. He was told to do so or advised to do so. But John F. Kennedy had enough integrity at that moment when the Soviet Union and the U.S. were almost at a nuclear, they were at a nuclear standoff. The world could have ended. We're at a nuclear standoff also. Nobody seems to care because of Biden's foreign policy in Europe. But he was advised, Robert McNamara even stated that he was advised by Curtis LeMay and others to invade Cuba. And he did not do so, and JFK did not do so, and he learned from the Bay of Pigs that these experts, quote unquote, make mistakes all the time, and their mistakes are catastrophic. The way Democrats work in media is that if a fabricated consensus full of experts that just happen to side with the Democratic Party, no problem. But RFK Jr. is going to be in the media eviscerated because of his stances on certain topics. Which, by the way, were never controversial because it was left up to the individual. But see, since nobody listens to media and Democrats, government loyalists and within the government, media, Democrats, corporations, they can scream as loud as they want. At the end of the day, the average American is just going to do what they feel is best. They're going to have their own risk-reward and cost-benefit analysis. That's where the Democrats come in and say, well, you'll lose your job and this and that, and you're a horrible person, and you're kicked off of Twitter. And so without intimidation, harassment, coercion, nobody listens to Democrats on anything. Without banning this or that and censoring speech and silencing the New York Post story on Hunter, nobody listens to Democrats. But they listen to RFK Jr. They listen to Donald Trump. They listen to Rand Paul. They did listen to Bernie Sanders before he became a tool of the Democratic Party. Okay. If anyone even remembers or cares about my writing or whatever, nobody really cares, which is fine. In 2015, 2016. If anybody ever asks, well, how did H.A. Goodman become a Trump supporter? Donald Trump is the person I thought Bernie Sanders would be. He is reforming a very corrupt system. RFK Jr. is as well. The people who enjoy the corrupt system are too stupid to realize that it's corrupt. So ignorance is bliss. You have to understand, the millions of people who just suddenly read the newspaper in 2016 because Trump, he's going to devour the planet. They were never into politics. And their first foray really into politics is, oh my God, Trump menace. Anyway, there's a home for RFK Jr. in a Trump Republican Party. He'd be very influential, powerful, and I think he could help the country a great deal. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now.